Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining tonight's Tuesday Talks webinar. My name is Susan Brown, the Associate Director of Family Programs. It's our pleasure to be hosting a webinar on tonight's topic, Preparing for Spring 2020 Husky 101 Orientation. Joining me tonight is Lisa Commendatore. She is the Director of Student Orientation and Family Programs. During tonight's talk, you are invited to type questions into the Q&A pod, which is on the right side of your screen. Questions will be answered following the presentation. We do ask that you please refrain from posting personal questions pertaining to your student. So let's get started. Thank you, Lisa, for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure being able to present to you this evening. Just to go over the agenda and some of the topics that we will be covering tonight, certainly we'll be presenting more on student and family orientation, our registration process, travel and accommodations, welcome week for your student, and important dates to come in the spring semester of 2020. Earlier this summer, we had sent all of the students and families an email giving you the spring timeline so that you would be able to begin planning for your visit. And so let's quickly just review that one more time. Move-in will take place on Friday, January 3rd, and this is the time that the students would move into their assigned housing for the semester. On Saturday, January 4th, we'll have a one-day family orientation. And then on Saturday and Sunday, January 4th and 5th, that will be the two-day mandatory first-year student orientation. And then on that Monday is actually when classes will begin, on that Monday, January 6th. So for move-in, as I just said, it is on Friday, January 3rd. You can see that the preferred time of move-in is in between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., and that's primarily because of the daylight. It's getting darker earlier now that we've done daylight savings. However, if in fact we know that families are coming from across the country, from another country, we know that students will arrive possibly before this time or after this time, and all of that is fine, and staff will be available at whatever time you arrive on that day. Housing assignments and roommate information, there's not one specific day that students will be receiving their information. It will take place anytime beginning mid to late December, and so typically it can begin as early as I would say the second week of December and up until the third week of December. And at the same time that the assignments are released, that's also the same time that your student or the students would receive their roommate information as well as additional moving information. You can see that on the housing website, which I will state what it is. It's northeastern.edu/housing. And this is actually a good point to make, is that following our webinar this evening, all families will be receiving a recording of this webinar, and so please don't feel the need to copy everything down as we're moving. You will have it sent to you within the next few days. But on the housing website, you can click on their move-in and move-out page, and that will provide you more specifics on housing and move-in for the spring. You can also note that once you receive your housing assignment, so come mid-December, you'll receive your housing assignment, you'll have your move-in date as January 3rd. If in fact you would like to arrive early, meaning on January 2nd, there's a form that you can complete and submit. and it's called an approval change request. And once again, it's on the housing website. But again, you can't complete this form until you actually receive your housing assignment. And then that way, if it's more convenient for your family, especially because it's around the holidays or if you're coming from out of the country, you can move in on January 2nd. But again, that's upon the approval of housing. And then you can see that we have the questions regarding move-in, where they should be directed, their phone number, and their housing. But as the semester progresses, you'll be receiving specific information directly from Housing Services and Residential Life. But hopefully that information that we just went over will be a bit helpful in your planning. And as a part of move-in, they'll also provide you information on where to pull up to your residence hall. Typically, there will be help that will be available for you of moving your items in and so forth. All to come. And then a common question actually for the NUN first-year students is, why do we have to attend another orientation? We've already attended one, or we've already attended two. You know, the first part one of the NUN experience started with the pre-departure. And so for those of you who joined us over the summer in the months of June, the sessions that they reviewed with you, our campus partners, it really prepared you and your students for what the abroad experience was going to be like. And I believe they went over university policy, protocol, safety in another country, visa information. The on-site orientation, once your student actually went to their site, then they were given a second orientation, and that was acclimating the student to their host university. And so this orientation, why it's mandatory and why it's so important for the student, even though they have been a Northeastern student for a semester, they haven't spent time on campus. You know, obviously they probably have gone on a campus tour when they were making their decision on if Northeastern was for them or not. But our program is really transitioning your student and transitioning the students into campus, onto campus, as well as into their new city of Boston. And so our job is to acclimate them to campus resources and services. And so everything, we'll go over shortly what their orientation will look like, but everything is to benefit the student and make sure that they have a successful transition when they come to the Boston campus in January. So the first orientation that we're going to go over is our family orientation. You can see that it takes place on Saturday, January 4th. At the very same time that we conduct our family orientation, we also run a student orientation concurrently. And so as I just said, we'll review the family orientation first. It's a one-day optional program. We have it in place because we feel as though it's necessary for the families to hear the same information that their student is receiving, and for the families to get acclimated to some of the services that you may not have used while your student is abroad. As I said, it's a one-day program. It begins early in the morning. It takes place from 7:30 until 4 o'clock. Our check-in location is in the Curry Student Center, and we do provide parking, which we'll cover more in the travel and visitation section. but it will take place. Parking is in the 795 Columbus Avenue parking garage, and that's where families can park from the point of move-in, whether it's January 2nd or 3rd, and through the 4th during the family orientation. During family orientation, you'll see some of the sessions that we'll be offering for families. And again, this is optional. We hope that you can attend. We encourage you to attend. But certainly if you look at some of these sessions and, you may not, I don't think I want to go to this session. That's absolutely fine. Family members can come and go as they please. But you can see that we'll have a family programs session based on what we offer you as an office and what services and how to stay connected to the university, informed of all the university happenings. Residential life is another key component, what type of programming that residential life will be offering your student to assist with their transition in. I believe some of these offices you had some contact with during the pre-orientation, the pre-departure, such as Open and NUPD. But University Health and Counseling, you'll learn about the services available to your student, whether it's regarding mental health services or their well-being in any sort of well-being. Financial aid will be available because this program is taking place on a Saturday and most university offices will be closed. We provide you the opportunity to have your questions asked and get serviced with all of these offices that you see listed. We also have Orientation Service Express, and it's another opportunity where all of these representatives and all of these offices, among many other campus partners, campus-wide, will have tables in a fair-like, situation where you can go up to whether it's the Disability Resource Center or if you have specific questions about mental health services, you'll have the opportunity to ask them one-on-one in a more private setting opposed to a presentation setting. And so these are just some of the topics. We're continuing to build the program, and so certainly if you want to hear information that is not listed on this and you think that would be helpful for the family, please just email us at the end of this presentation. You'll see our email address, and we would really be open to hearing your suggestions. Also on Saturday, January 4th, as a part of the family program, following the orientation sessions, you can see that we'll have an afternoon reception, and this will be for all families. We find that because we have a short period of time of this one day, that parents have suggested to us to carve out some social time for parent-to-parent conversations. And so we provide that. It's important for you to network. It's important for you if, in fact, you're from the West Coast and you want to talk to other families from that geographic area or from a different country and, talk about some of the concerns you may have being so far away and staying in contact or traveling back and forth. It's good to connect with each other and give each other some helpful hints. Students and families at the conclusion of the student program and the family program, which will be around dinner time on Saturday the 4th, everyone will be invited to have a complimentary dinner in our dining hall with your student. Some families will, this is just a very informal setting. Some families will dine in the dining hall. Others will go into Boston for dinner. It's really whatever your personal choice is. But I will say that this will be one of the final times that you will be seeing your student, because following dinner, we will begin having welcome week activities for the students. And so on Sunday, when we begin orientation, the second day for your student, again, it's a mandatory program that's going to take place from early morning through the entire day. And so it will leave very little time for you to reconnect. And so if you haven't made your travel arrangements, and you will be making them soon, most families will, depending on where they live geographically, will either leave on Saturday evening if they live close by, or they'll stay one more evening in Boston and fly out on Sunday morning. But again, that Saturday is a full day for everyone. The first year student orientation. And so just to give a little bit of a timeline for the students, we have some students joining us this evening in addition to family members. In mid-December, there will be a tutorial that will be mandatory for all students to participate in. It will be online. They'll receive the details, as I said, in mid-December, and it will be something that they'll need to do online prior to orientation. And that is revolving around the SAIL program that we have, which is the self-authored integrated learning. And so that's basically Northeastern's approach to education that focuses on extracting meaning out of everything, not just from co-op and not just from classes, but literally from every life experience or academic experience. And then there's technology that supports this learning framework. For those students who are listening in this evening, I know that you are familiar with SAIL, and you'll this tutorial will just reinforce some of the technology that you haven't learned with the theory that you have learned thus far. On Saturday and Sunday is the mandatory January 4th and 5th orientation. It's a 2-day program, full days from early morning, beginning probably just as early as the family program, Rise and Shine at 7 a.m. or 7:30, and it will go through 4 o'clock at least. For international students, there is no special international orientation, but there will be an international session that is hosted by the Office of Global Services, and that will be incorporated into student orientation. And like all sessions, it will be mandatory for you to attend. There's always a question from some of our third culture students who may be domestic students. They're U.S. students who have lived their entire life abroad, and they are more than welcome to join the Global Services session as well. So the student sessions, just as we reviewed some of the family sessions, some of the student sessions will be around the self-authored integrated learning. As I just said, there will be a module that students will take part in online. Academic, there will be academic welcome and advising. The NUN students have already, I know, met with their colleges during the pre-departure orientation. There is also online advising while the students are abroad, but this will give you a final opportunity to meet with an advisor, to change your schedule if you'd like to change your schedule, and also talk through different Northeastern offerings or your career path that you want to take, meaning, if you want to take one co-op versus two co-ops. If you're interested in studying abroad, the conversations will start as early as you arrive on Northeastern's campus. Again, you will hear from Housing and Residential Life and Oscar, which is our Office of Conduct and Conflict, and then we also have our NUPD this time to talk about safety on campus and services that will be available to your student. As far as the campus services and resources, you'll hear from Health and Wellness. Again, what will be offered to the student, where they need to go. It's important for them, obviously, to actually know how to be in contact with University Health and Counseling, what building they're located in. You'll learn more about the Husky card and dining services. It's not just your ID, it's your key to your room, it's swiping in your meal plan, placing Husky dollars where you can purchase items on campus, off campus. So it's really important for the students to have a thorough understanding of that. Student involvement and engagement is a key component to a successful transition. We find that an engaged student is a successful student. And so there will be multiple ways for your students to learn about what they want to get involved in on campus. And so they will hear from the Center for Student Involvement, community service, as well as athletics and recreational sports. And then, of course, the global and experiential sessions will take place as well. What to bring to orientation. So your student, if in fact they have plans of working on campus, they'll need to submit different forms when they come to campus. And so as a part of those forms and IDs that are necessary, you can see that a government or state issued photo ID, it can be a license, a passport, social security card. And as I said, you'll receive, as far as what to bring for your room and what you'll need, what you can and cannot bring to your room, what's permitted and what's not. All of that information will be provided by Housing, but they also have a brochure online. Again, you can see what their website is, northeastern.edu/housing, spring, move in and out. That is on, this will be on the slide that we send to you following this presentation, but it's also very, they're user-friendly. Their navigation on their website is very user-friendly, and so you'll be able to find it there. And moving on to registration. So what will happen from here is in mid-November, I would say the second to third week, we will send an email invitation to both the students and the families, alerting them to the registration site. It's all takes place in the My Northeastern student portal. So the student portal that your student has been using from the point of admission and enrollment, that's where they can register for orientation under the Services and Links tab. And so even though there is only one date, which is January 4th and 5th for the student, it's still required for them to enter their portal and to register. At the time that they register, they should also register any family members that would like to attend. And so families, just an FYI, so there's no confusion, you will not find a registration link in the family portal. This registration is only through the student portal, and so you can either communicate that with your student and have them register you, or you can contact our office, whether it's via email or through the phone number that is listed, and we would be more than happy to register you. It's extremely helpful and important so we know who is attending so we can plan properly. There is no fee for the student orientation and family orientation up to 2 guests. And so basically what that means is, all program costs, parking, and your meals are covered during orientation on January 4th. However, if you do have a third guest that is over 12 years old, they will be charged. Young children will not be charged any registration fee. But again, I can't stress enough about the registration process and making sure that your student has registered as well as any family members have registered. Travel and accommodations. If you are traveling by car, you can park in our 795 Columbus Avenue parking garage. What we will do in advance is email you, both the students and the family members, a link, and all you'll need to do is print out the parking pass and place it on your dashboard. There is no on-campus housing for families, and so if in fact you are attending orientation, you'll be residing in a local hotel. And so if you'd like to save the cost of hotel parking, you're more than welcome to park your car in our garage, and that would be for day and overnight parking. Again, depending on when you move in, if you move in on the 2nd, it will be good from the 2nd through the 4th, or if you move in on the 3rd, it will be good from the 3rd through the 4th. And then also, if you are taking a taxi or an Uber, any other form of transportation, the address that you can give your driver would be 360 Huntington Avenue, and that would drop you off at the main quad of the university. And then we also have train stations, the subway stations that are located on campus. We have the Green Line as well as the Orange Line, and both of those are accessible from the airport. From the airport you can get to campus via those 2 lines. And then guest accommodations, if you go to our website, you can just navigate to our hotel link, and that will provide you hotels that are close by versus a couple of miles out. The ones that are closer to the campus are more expensive than if you select a hotel that is 1 or 2 miles outside of the city. You are more than welcome to call our office if you would like for us to suggest any hotels to you. We'd be more than happy to do that. And snow happens. We always learn the hard way. We've had a couple of blizzards in the past, and we plan for them as much as we can. And so you can see that picture that probably was on one of our orientation days one year. But we've been very fortunate the last couple of years. It hasn't been bad at all. In the event of inclement weather, we will do our very best to continue with programming that is scheduled. As the week approaches, once we get back from the winter break. We will be looking at our weather and we will be communicating to you. If in fact the weather looks beautiful on our end, we will not be communicating to you because everything is fine on our end within Boston. But if in fact we are experiencing snow or we see that a bad storm is coming into place, then we will provide you updates via email. We'll have messages on our website, our mobile app, and through social media. So if in fact the university or the city closes, we have no other option but to postpone the program, or in some cases we have to cancel a program. It's only happened once. But when I say, excuse me, that we've canceled a program, we understand the importance of the student transition and that would take priority over the family program. And so depending on when the storm would occur, we would have to see, how we would move forward with orientation. So if in fact orientation was canceled for the families, please know that we would provide you all of the presentation information, whether it was through a recording or if we, sent you the presentations, the PDFs of all the presentations. For the student programming, most likely that would continue because either you would move in on the 2nd or the 3rd and we would program on the 4th and the 5th. If it was a blizzard on the 4th, in the city, we were able to have staff and faculty drive in. We would program the students on any remainder, of the days. The safety of our students and families and staff will always take priority, but again, we will do whatever we can do to program for all of you. So knock on wood that doesn't occur this year. And next, once your student moves in and the students are here, we have Welcome Week. And I can't stress to you enough, families, if you're joining us tonight, please encourage your students to participate in the activities that we plan. And for the students who are joining us, please participate in the activities that we plan. We offer academic activities, social, athletic, transitional programming. It's equally important for the students to meet new students who have been here this past fall or in their program. If it's a business student, that they, meet other business students. The beauty of NUN is that the cohorts that are at all of these different sites are having a really transformational shared experience. And when they come in January, of course they'll keep those friendships and remain a tight cohort. But it's also important for the students to integrate into the larger of the population. And we put these programs in place for your student to be able to integrate and meet others. And so I can't stress enough, hopefully the students will, hear this loud and clear through orientation and make certain to join the different activities that we have planned. Sometime in mid-December, we will send the Welcome Week schedule to families as well as the students on multiple occasions. And then also we'll have a winter involvement fair during the month of January. This is where we will actually have over 450 clubs and organizations represented. And so this is a prime opportunity for your students to sign up and begin their engagement into the Northeastern community. As I said, we do have some transitional programming, getting them acclimated to campus, and so, we understand that the majority of the students have had a campus tour. We want to show them campus in a different way, beyond the classroom, beyond the Marina Center, the Recreation Center. We want to make certain they know that if there's an issue with their Husky ID, they know where to go. If, in fact, they are sick and they need to see a doctor, they know where to go. And so we will offer virtual campus tours of different facilities as well as physical tours of the facilities. We will run sessions called Find Your Way to Class. And so students will be asked to bring their class schedule with them, and we'll actually have student leaders walk them to the different buildings the weekend before classes begin on that Monday, so they know exactly where to go, and it's one less thing for them to worry about. And we also know that, there are two different types of students, three different types of students. There's extroverts, introverts, and then there's, introverted extroverts. And so we really try to program to accommodate everyone. And for, specifically the introverts, we will have, meet to eat. And it's basically just designating a time for students to meet, and we'll have student leaders and current students walk over the dining hall and have their meals with each other. And there are all different, these are just a couple of what we offer for transitioning in, but those are highly attended and what we find is being the most beneficial for some of the students to participate in. And then important dates for all of your planning for the spring term of 2020. You can, once again, you see that we'll have our Welcome Week activities from the 4th through the 11th. On January 6th, that Monday, is the first day of classes. On January 20th, Martin Luther King Day, there are no classes. On February 17th, President's Day, no classes. February 29th through March 8th is spring break. And so if you're planning your students' visit home or a vacation, a family vacation, that would be the week to do it. April 14th are when spring classes end. And then on the 15th is a reading and a study day for the students. And then, as you can see, April 16th through the 24th will be final exams. And that Monday, the 20th, is Patriots Day, and that's no classes. So that's really just seen as another reading day or another study for finals day. But final exams, they differ for every single student and for every different class. And so there are some faculty that will have their final exam even the week before finals week to help lessen the load for students. And then there are other student schedules that they may have finals that entire week and not be done until the very last day on the 24th. And so if in fact you are pre-planning airline tickets or train tickets in advance, the safest bet is to wait until the very last day, of finals, the 24th. And I believe, Susan, if you can help answer this for me, when is it that students typically need to be out of their residence hall? Is it within 24 hours?
24 hours of their last final exam.
Very good. And then this final slide is just our contact information, as you can see. You can download our app, and as a part of our app, you'll be able to, as we get closer to orientation, you'll be able to access our orientation schedules. That's how you will access the Welcome Week schedules. We also have travel information, Boston attractions, hotels. We have the clubs and organizations. This is an app that the students can continue to use throughout their time here, as well as the families, because we have all of our campus partners and campus resources and services, their contact information in this app. And so if you haven't downloaded it, I would download it. You can see the different phone numbers that you can contact us, our website address, as well as our email address, and you can follow us on social media by @NU Orientation. And then this is just another way for families to stay in contact as well. Once we pass orientation, or even now, we do have a parent website, and that will be a great resource for you throughout your students' 4 years. It has everything from university policy to campus partners and their phone numbers, contact information. We also have our series of Tuesday Talks, which are monthly webinars that will keep you informed throughout your student's career here, whether it is on navigating finals week and winter break. It can be the international experience, how to prep your student for an abroad experience. It can be student financial services, mental health issues. It covers every service that we have on campus. And like this one, they're all recorded and they can all be found on our website. And they will also always be emailed to you as well. We also have a message board for family members who want to network with other family members. This is 24/7. We really don't monitor it in the sense of taking information down off of it. This is a way for parents that if you have a student in Australia and there is a parent whose student has never traveled and they are traveling to Australia, it's common for a parent to go onto the message board and say, hey, has any of your students traveled to Australia? What type of helpful hints in packing can you give me? And it's really a positive forum to be able to communicate back and forth with family members. And so that's our best message board. All of this information is on our website. We also have the family portal. That's how family members can access tuition bills. Also, their Husky IDs, they can place money on their students' Husky accounts as well. And then our Facebook page, we hope that you like us because we keep you updated on a daily basis. Anything from informational or spotlighting or featuring an important university happening, or it could, be as simple as letting you know that we're having a snow day in Boston. And so Facebook is also another way to stay connected. And that's the conclusion of the presentation. I believe Susan is going to take some questions.
So at this time, we'd like to begin taking questions from the audience. As I mentioned earlier, on the right-hand side of your screen is the Q&A pod. If you want to type some questions in, we'll try to cover as many as we can in the time we have left. Someone is asking about the registration. Where do students sign up for orientation? Lisa had mentioned that there's a student portal and a parent portal. The students will register
in the
student portal, and they would also register the guests in that portal too. You mentioned, Lisa, the dinner and the reception. What's the difference between the family reception and the dinner?
Yep, and so the family reception, it will be in an informal setting. We'll have it in one of our largest rooms that we can, and we typically will have geographic breakdowns of different areas, and so if you are from the Mid-Atlantic or from California and you want to meet other families from the West Coast, it's just, there will be appetizers and beverages, and it will be just an open forum for you to sit down with other families. If, in fact, you connected with somebody that you were sitting beside during a session and you'd like to continue the conversation, it will be a time for you to be able to do that. The dinner is basically the dinner in our dining hall with your student as an option. And so if, in fact, there are some families that live just within a few hours away and they'll be leaving on that Saturday evening and they want to have some, last-minute time with their student, they can have dinner with their student in the dining hall.
Okay. So I have a parent asking, can students spend time with their family members Saturday and Sunday evenings after the mandatory sessions?
So can they? Yes. But in saying that, we will have some signature programming of Welcome Week. And so, I guess in our eyes, we really want the students to meet each other and to begin friendships, and that's the opportunity that they are going to have is on that Saturday night and on that Sunday night. But, in saying that, we will have questions from some families that will say, well, they were away, all semester, and we've had such a short amount of time to spend with them. Can we, spend Sunday evening with them? Yes, you can. It's not mandatory programming, it's just encouraged.
I know some of you joined us late. Lisa had mentioned, just so you know, that the student program takes place on January 4th and 5th, and the parent program is only on January 4th. So some people are asking about that. In regards to parking, Lisa, maybe just recap where they can park and how do they get that parking information?
Absolutely. And so we will correspond with you multiple times via email to the family email address as well as students. That will link you to a parking pass. You will just print it out and place it on your windshield. The parking takes place in the 795 Columbus Avenue parking garage. That will be on our website. We'll correspond with you as well. And as I said earlier, you can park there from the point that you move in through family orientation. And so if you're staying in a hotel and you would like to not have to pay the hotel costs, you can park your car in our garage and then just take public transportation back to your hotel if you'd like.
Okay. Are students able to stay in their residence halls if they're attending Summer 1 after their last spring final? No, unfortunately, where your students staying, it's very unlikely, not completely unlikely, but very unlikely that they will be staying in that same spot. So that really is a housing question that you may want to address to housing at northeastern.edu. But again, I said it's highly unlikely that they would stay in that same spot. People are asking what can they send materials beforehand for the students who are moving into the residence halls, and where do they send that? Your student will be getting their housing assignment, as Lisa mentioned, in mid-December. You can, during Welcome Week, we will be offering trips to Target where students can go purchase things at Target or Bed Bath & Beyond. And you can also send them up to a few days before move-in, and they can get their storage items in our mailroom on campus. Do not do it 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time because they won't take them. It's a week before.
And if you do visit the housing website, there will be a moving brochure. And so you can, it's electronically linked there, I believe, right now. And so that will give you more details.
So someone's asking, when will the bill for spring tuition go out? Typically, it's at the very end of November or the first or second week in December. I'm not sure of the exact date, but it should be by early December. This is an excellent question for people who are trying to plan for when April comes. When will students receive their schedule for finals? So once your student starts attending classes, they can actually go into their student portal, and their professors will have the scheduled finals times posted. Most of them are typically up within the first few weeks. Sometimes it does take a little longer, but they should see their final schedules in their student portal. We have time for 1 or 2 more questions. Do students stay in the residence hall on the Saturday night of orientation?
They do. And so they'll move directly into their assigned housing, and obviously there will be a residence director in all of the housing, in all of the spaces, and we'll have programming for those students.
We have a few questions again regarding housing. Lisa had mentioned at the beginning of the presentation that all housing assignments kind of go out on a roll-out basis in mid-December. As you can imagine, we're moving a lot of students in and out, and that's why it does take till December to get that information out. So I do want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. In closing, I do want to ask that in a few moments you will see a survey appear on your screen, and we ask that you take the brief survey. We do appreciate any feedback that you might have on tonight's session, as well as any topics that you would like to see in the future. Also note that within the next week, you will receive an email with the recording of this webinar, and you'll have the slides. And you can also find past recordings of our past Tuesday talks on our website, northeastern.edu/parents. Again, thank you for taking time for joining us tonight, and we look forward to seeing you in January.
And please, be in contact with us if you have any questions at any time, because that is why we are here, is to assist you. And so on behalf of both Susan and myself, thank you so much. We look forward to welcoming you in January, and don't hesitate to reach out if we can assist you. Good night.